It's Luke here for SimBoxx in association with Clint Patrick. Delighted to be joined today by Billy Nelson. How are you doing, Billy?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good man. So thanks for joining us today. And first and foremost, before we get into the boxing, congratulations as being a Rangers fan, picking up the league title yesterday. I'm sure that's a great day for yourself after quite a turbulent time for Rangers back on top.
It's been I had a good bit of banter with my pals the other weekend. You know what I mean? But they're taking it the way it should be treated. All fun. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So, I mean, like you say, you went down to, was it the second or third division, started right from the bottom again and built yourself right back up. So, it must feel really, really good to get back on top. How much of this achievement do you put down to Steven Gerrard and the impact he's had on the club?
Oh, it's been massive. It's been massive. And since Craig White and all them get booted at the club and David King took over, it's moved forward at quite a fast rate. I know it's. But I remember, I'll never forget a time we went up to Forfar. I mean, I used to go to the home and away games, and we were up at Forfar, and we got beaten extra time with Forfar, and there was grown men crying, leaving the ground. Well, it's a game of, at the end of the day, it is a game of football. They don't put, Rangers don't put. We like the bragging rights, not like any other major city, but they don't put food on your table.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do you sit on this whole argument of it's either Rangers' first title, given that they restarted again? No, it's number 55. Where's this
number
argument?
55.
Yeah.
Well, of course it's 55.
Absolutely.
No, that's just to try and take away the goodness there. Of course it's 55.
Yeah, good man.
For the Celtic won 8.5 because they were given the title.
That's the counter.
They won 9 in a row. They were going to win it.
It's the counter.
Anyway, let's talk about boxing. I know slightly more about boxing.
Super.
So much more. A wee bit more.
So let's get straight into it. First and foremost, Martin Bakole. What's the plans with Martin Bakole at the minute? What's he up to?
Well, we're just applying for we're in the process of applying for a sportsman's visa for him, which I will allow him to come and stay in the UK for 3 years with his wife and his child, and then we'll get him over. Obviously, he can't get out here now because of the pandemic. His country's one of the countries that's not allowed to come into the UK anyway. So there's no real a lot we can do. We may or may not look to get a fight abroad. That might happen May time.
Yeah. Well, I might jump the gun a little bit there, but let's go back to the beginning because it's the first time I've had the honour of interviewing yourself. Where did the link up with Martin Bakole come from? Because it's quite bizarre from the outside looking in, given that he moved to Scotland to train with yourself. He's from Congo, of course. Where did that link up come from?
Well, he was training down in Preston with Johnny Roy, and they came up to spar. Stephen Simmons, he enjoyed himself. Nice big guy. He's a lovely big guy. He went away, and I never heard from him for about 6 or 7 months. And I've got a WhatsApp message out of the blue saying, "Hi, coach. I was wondering if you'd like to train and manage me." He says I'm a free agent. So between me and my gym sponsors at the time, we got him over here, and we've got him from number 122 in the world to about 12.
Great work. So, of course, his most recent performance was on the Anthony Joshua Kubrat Pulev undercard against Sergei Kuzmin. Quite an exciting fight, and it was expected to be a knockout one way or the other. As it was quite a brutal affair. It was a war of attrition. What did you take from that fight with Sergei Kuzmin? Probably the best win of Martin Bakole's career so far.
That and people don't give him a credit for the fight, the win against Wack over in Poland. I mean, he's stopped him quick, and anybody stopped him. In front of 9,000 Polish people, may I add, and there was not a Scot to be seen. But the Kuzmin fight, but people don't realise is Kuzmin was the number 1 Russian heavyweight for a long time. Fought in the WBSS, had over 250 amateur fights. Martin had 13 amateur fights in Congo against just kind of, we're trying to be disrespectful, totally inferior opposition, guys that are not going to lace his gloves. So you could really say he never had any amateur experience. So he's basically, say he's had 17 fights now, I think, as 16-1, maybe 17-1, something like that. That's all he's had compared to Kuzmin's experience. And he handled Kuzmin no problem. Kuzmin, he's got a good right hand. He landed a few times, but Martin took it. I've seen him take big shots off Joe Joyce and just stick his tongue at him and then happen straight back. Same with other fighters,
Yeah, absolutely. That was the one fight that you mentioned there before we got into the Kuzmin fight against Marius Vac, and that's one that I wanted to get your thoughts on a bit more in depth, given that I think it was the first fight back after the Michael Hunter defeat, and to go, as you say, into the away territory against Marius Vac and to stop him in the fashion that he did against a partisan crowd. You said earlier, quite a great achievement there, and one that I'm sure he's very proud of, and you're very proud of.
He boxed superbly well. We had 3 weeks' notice. When I say we had 3 weeks' notice, we were down in the Polish embassy on 3 occasions in the next 3 weeks. So we had to travel, both of us, from Glasgow down to London. And we stayed, I think we had a spar with Daniel Dubois when we were down there as well. It was a bit of a nightmare, the lead up to it, but he boxed fantastic. We were used to his movement and his uppercuts. I was, but Marius a big gentleman, so he was right upset after the fight, and because he's in his own country and he was looking to bounce back with a good one, but they made the mistake of thinking that was a true Martin Bakole against Michael Hunter.
Yeah, I think the thing is with that win against Marius Vac, in my opinion, is that it's kind of aged well, given that he went the distance with Dillian Whyte, he went the distance with Hughie Fury. That's come after the Martin Bakole stopping him. So again, I think that fight kind of ages really well.
Well, you could say the same about Patera. Patera for Karlaki went the distance with him. Martin stopped him in under just about a minute. A beautiful right hand left hook. Hernandez, he'd went the distance with Michael Hunter. I'm sure Kawalaki was one of them. There's a few good names on Hernandez's record, and Martin tore him to shreds.
Absolutely. When you see these kind of performances that Martin's putting in, do you think that he's like a well-kept secret, or do you feel that people are kind of disrespecting, given that that he lost to Hunter and all of a sudden?
No, he goes down to England. He's been down to England, and there's not one guy who's got a better than him in England. Not one. Not a right. You couldn't say, "Oh Christ, he gave him a leather in there." Nobody.
Are we talking sparring here?
All right, all the top guys: Chisora, Anthony Joshua, Hughie Fury, Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce. Not one of them could say that they got the total better than Martin Bakole in the spar, because they'd be telling lies.
It's high praise. It's high praise. So, of course, he linked up with MTK Global. How does that impact him with Matchroom? Is he still going to be appearing on Matchroom shows, or is that just taking care of the management?
Well, we were offered the Higovic fight and we accepted the fight, and he's went away to fight Michael Hunter. Now, how he's got a final eliminate on the back of beating a guy that hadn't been in the ring for 2 years, was fat and slow. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable how boxing works.
So do you say
we were looking forward to beating him and getting in the top 5 of all the organisations in the world. But again, this is the second time. They'll tell you that we got offered a fight against Higovic at the very beginning of when I trained Martin. I was obviously Martin's got to learn off me and develop a bond between the two. But they were wanting us to fight him, and he was only with me for about 3 months. We got offered the fight, and is it Zagreb? Is that Croatia?
Yeah.
Well, we were offered the fight there for peanuts. Well, if you want to give it peanuts, go and get a monkey. You know what I mean? We're not going out there to get robbed against, because that's all that would happen. But we'll fight him now, and that's twice now. He got offered the fight last year, bottled it, went away to America to fight somebody, and he got offered the fight there. No, I'm not. Okay, I'd say he bottled it. He's not bottled it, but he's got an opportunity that he doesn't deserve. There you go.
So let's get.
I'm not saying he's not a good fighter, Simon. I'm not saying he's not a good fighter. He is, of course, he's a good fighter. But Martin Bakole will beat him.
Yeah, interesting. So let's get your thoughts on that fight, given that you're so closely involved. Hrgovic, Michael Hunter. It looks like it is going to happen next, as you say. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Michael Hunter will beat him. Michael Hunter with his movement and he's jabbing. He'll beat him. Because he's slow. Hrgovic is slow. He's He's the he's a European version of Joe Joyce. Powerful, strong, but slow. And you can only hit. You can only hurt what you can hit.
Yeah. Interesting. So looking at 2021, and obviously we're hoping that we're going to come out of lockdown, as you're saying. You're looking at the visa issues to get Bakole back over to Scotland so you can train again. How does Martin Bakole fit into the heavyweight division this year? What are the plans? Who are you looking at? Who are you targeting?
There's nobody that we wouldn't look at or fight anybody. And people talk shite and say, "Oh, we'll fight anybody." Martin Bakole will fight anybody. You know what I mean? Daniel Dubois, why not Daniel Dubois? If get him a warm-up fight, we could defend our title once and then fight that. But, you know, it's a team decision. It'll be a team decision between Martin, myself and MTK. But somebody like Daniel Dubois would be a good fight. It would be a good fight because I've had some good spars, but Martin will beat him.
It'll be an exciting fight. So what I want to do, Bill, is get your opinion on some of the heavyweight fights that have happened, some that are potentially going to happen, and obviously see where Martin fits in with some of these guys. So most recently, we had Joseph Parker beating Junior Farr out in New Zealand. Joseph Parker's looking like he's going to fight Derek Chisora. Did you manage to catch the Parker-Junior Farr fight?
I did, aye.
What did you make of that?
I thought it was poor. I thought it was a poor fight and I put on Twitter, I thought it was poor. World number 3 and world number 5. Neither of them would stand a chance with Martin Bakole. Neither of them.
It's looking like Joe Parker's split with Kevin Barry and he's looking for a new trainer. Do you think that's a good move for him, given that, you know, he's been with Kevin Barry for the majority of his career?
I couldn't say whether it's a good or bad move for him. Obviously, he's been with him his full career, and I think it's the distance. I think Joseph, before what I'm reading, wants to stay at home. So if Kevin Barry can't facilitate that, then he's got to look elsewhere, isn't he? But will that be to his detriment? I think it may well be.
Absolutely. So another fight it's coming up close to the end of March. It was scheduled to happen this weekend. Just gone. Dillian Whyte, Alexander Povetkin, the rematch. Can I get your thoughts on the original fight and your prediction for this second fight? Do you think things will change for Dillian Whyte?
Well, I won a few quid in the first fight with Povetkin stopping him, but I don't think he will this time. I think surely to goodness, he's learnt his lesson, and I don't see this mistake happening a second time. I think they should stop him this time because Povetkin's there to be taken out because Dillian Whyte's not a big puncher. He's not a big puncher. He's got a good left hook, but that's about it. He's not got a right hand. And I think, you know, with Povetkin getting dropped a few times, I think Dillian Whyte will keep him down this time.
Interesting. I think it's a big fight for Dillian, and as you say, if he was to lose again, it'd be difficult to see where he goes from there.
Come fight Martin Bakole.
Is that a fight you'd fancy for Martin against Dillian Whyte? Win or lose?
All day long. I've asked Eddie Hearn for that fight for a long, long time. I've asked David Higgins 2 years ago for the Parker fight, 2.5 years ago for the Parker fight. No.
So reading between the lines there, Billy, do you get the impression that Martin's certainly overlooked? He's like kind of in a who needs him kind of club?
Well, it's exactly what it is, isn't it? I mean, my wee pal Sam Jones, he even had the audacity to say, well, we're not going to fight Martin Bakole. He's no fought anybody. Well, I would suggest that Kuzman's as good as anybody that Martin Bakole, that Joe Joyce has fought. He's better. Kuzman's better than Daniel Dubois. Make no mistake about that. He has a better fighter, I think. It's just one of those ones, you know what I mean? We'd fight Dillian Whyte in a heartbeat. Chisora's been offered the fight. He's knocked it back as well. He took on David Price. Remember, he came in as a late substitute, but we were training for a fight. And I said to Eddie, we'll take that fight. It got offered to Dillian Whyte, and they said no because they've sparred.
Interesting. Of course, the big heavyweight fight that we're hoping happens this year, Billy, is Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua. It looks like he's on the verge of being announced. Where do you sit with that fight? Who are you backing?
Listen, I've always said I always fancy a puncher over a boxer because 36 minutes is a long, long time. You know, and not to take a big heavy shot on the chops. So I can't. I mean, we might be going to. I might be going to spar big Tyson Fury, so I'll maybe have a better idea after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we said there, we went through a couple of the fights and some potential opponents. We touched on it a bit earlier, but if the belts look like they're tied up for the time being, so everyone's kind of jostling for position behind them. Out of you say you wouldn't turn anybody down, but ideally, if you could pick out, say, 2 opponents for 2021 for Bakole, consecutive opponents to get him into that kind of world title contention, who would you ideally want him to box?
Joyce or Dylan White or Joseph Parker.
Big names.
Anybody of the 3.
So away from Martin Bakole for a second, I just want to touch on Craig Morgan as well, the young Scottish prospect that you train and manage him.
I do. Aye.
Where are we up to with Craig Morgan? I know it's difficult at the minute with lockdown.
Well, we got off the fight against Isaac Lowe a few weeks ago. I think it was for this weekend, but it was only a couple of weeks' notice, and Craig's not got his medicals done just yet, so he probably would have took the fight had he had his medicals. But with this pandemic, his medicals are out of date, so he needs to go and get that sorted.
All right, okay. So
always, this is a bit of advice for all young people, all young boxers. Always be ready and grasp an opportunity. Because I believe if he'd have fought Isaac Lowe and if he'd have beat him, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Craig Morgan's a very good fighter. If he'd have beat him, he could have well have been in line for a British title shot on his 9th or 10th fight. Because
Yeah, absolutely. As it is, there's been a bit of a Twitter back and forth. I'm not sure if you've seen it the past couple of days, but Isaac Lowe and Jordan Gill, they look like they're talking their way into a fight, possibly on the undercard of Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, if that comes off.
No, Jordan Gill.
Yep.
Aye.
You fancy Jordan Gill over Isaac Lowe? How do you see that kind of fight if it comes off?
I'll be honest with you, I've not seen enough of Isaac Lowe.
Right.
Because I think his last few fights have been on Tyson's undercard, haven't they?
Yep.
Honestly, I've not really seen much of him, so I wouldn't pass judgment on him.
Fair play. Another fight I want to get your opinion on, Billy, coming up in May. Well, a couple of fights in May. Firstly, Canelo against Billy Joe Saunders. It looks like it's mission impossible for Billy Joe Saunders, given the run Canelo's on. What's your thoughts on the fight?
It's never mission impossible because Billy Joe Saunders is a superb boxer, but it's very, very difficult because I think Canelo's is an exceptional fighter. Him and Bud Crawford are the top 2 fighters in the world just now, in my opinion. But Billy Joe Saunders will give him more trouble than anybody's gave him because he's got a great boxing brain.
Definitely. The other fight in May that I want to get your opinion on, your fellow Scotchman in Josh Taylor looking to become undisputed at 140 pounds against Jose Ramirez. It's a good fight for Josh Taylor. Do you feel like he's going to go in there and do the business?
Josh will beat him. Josh is an excellent fighter. And he came along brilliantly. I would have liked to have seen him go a few more rounds with the last opponent, but it was a cracking, well-placed body shot he landed. Only because that guy did carry a bit of power.
Yeah,
but he got him out in the first round, so you don't get paid for overtime. But for just my personal, for a trainer's perspective, I'd like to see him get a few more rounds because of their inactivity due to the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like the fight with Regis Prograis when he won the World Boxing Super Series, do you feel like that was maybe a tougher fight than Jose Ramirez? I've seen a couple of whispers online that they reckon he's already beat the number 2 in the division in Prograis, and Ramirez is maybe number 3 or 4.
No, I think this will be a harder fight.
All right, okay. Yeah. So, Billy, that's all my questions answered there. Is there anything you'd like to add to finish?
No, it's just a pleasure coming out to your channel first time. I look forward to coming on again sometime in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure when Martin gets a fight announced and Craig Morgan returns, we'll have a catch up in the future. But for now, Billy, thanks for your time. You take care.
Thank you.